you think that what it looks like is BP is trying to leave town and leave us holding the bag, so to speak?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talking to Parish President Billy Nungaster about the latest on the oil fighting efforts. And
if it goes the way it's going right now, if they continue to try to get assets, or if they succeed in pulling assets out of your parish, what is going to be the end results of that move?
All it's going to inundate us and kill more wildlife and destroy our wetlands. Listen, we got 3 crews out there right now, jack-up boats, local people that are out there with lights at night picking up oil. We had oil all over Barrett Bay and Bay Jimmy yesterday. When I talked to the Coast Guard, I said, why do we have one skimmer out there? You know what they told me? Well, on the flight this morning, we saw no oil, so we stood them down. Well, that's because y'all were looking up. There's no way you could have flew out of Venice and not seen oil. There was all of the Mount South Pass. There was all the Pass of Lucha. There was all the Bay Jimmy. You had to either be blind, looking up, lying, or flying at 3,000 feet. Now, take your choice.
And,
all the big buff. We got more people in the Houma Command Center than we have out fighting the oil. You know what? They got a real nice cafeteria in there, and on every day it's full. We got our priorities wrong, and the federal government is letting it happen. And I'm telling you, if it takes the rest of my life, I'm going to find out what kind of deal was cut, who's getting rich off of this, and what's happening, because it is so obvious what's going on here, that the Coast Guard is covering BP's butt. They are their PR firm, and they're doing a miserable job, because all they ever had to do was do the right thing, and everything else would take care of itself. Instead, they have covered up from day one. They have lied, and that's the Coast Guard. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. They make everybody else that works hard for the Coast Guard look bad because of these people at the top that don't have a clue what honesty and integrity means about anything.
Now, are you hearing similar stories from the other parish presidents?
They are they tried to take equipment out of St. Bernard today, and really, I was so upset on the conference call after I had a few choice words. I hung up and told them I'll meet them Sunday morning to talk about this plan. But Craig DeFerris said they were taking all the unused boom out the water and taking out the parish, and he stopped them from doing that as well.
Speaking of Craig DeFerris, St. Bernard Parish President, Craig, it seems to me, and I've noticed this just on my own, probably the last 2 weeks or so, it's almost like BP and the Coast Guard are now one. It's like one organization now.
I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I know the Coast Guard states their mission is very clear, and that they want to do the right things. But I just don't understand how this is coming to pass, that we're in constant conflict over what very reasonable requests. We're in the middle of hurricane season. We have boats and planes and helicopters that are identifying oil every day, and we're having to fight to convince the very people who have the authority to help us that it exists. We had a boat go through Barataria. Not we had a boat, but we are aware of a vessel that went through Barataria Bay, and as it went through, it kicked up oil that was in the water column, and boats that were released to skim that oil were told to stand down, and were told to do not respond to that oil.
Well, who has the authority to tell the skimming boats not to respond to oil, because that's what they are supposed to be there to be doing?
Well, between the BP representatives and the Coast Guard, that seems to be who's driving those orders. It's ludicrous to think in terms of an operation being in such a midst of a power struggle, instead of taking logical steps to do what everybody was sent to do, and that was to respond to the oil spill.
Parish President, Lafourche Parish President Charlotte Randolph has told us the same thing over a couple of days, that at the same time that the federal officials say they can't find oil, parish crews in Lafourche have been pulling up a significant amount of it, most of it tar balls, but some of it also the thicker kind as well.
Well, what was it last week? Kevin Davis had to do the same thing in St. Tammany Parish.
What is wrong with our government? Tell me this. And where the hell is the president? Isn't it time for Thad Allen to step aside? He's retired. Is that so he can go on BP's payroll? Maybe he is already. And I hate to say those things, but something just ain't right. Something is wrong with this situation. Thad Allen should have been mad as hell in that meeting, as all the past presidents were. He should be on our side. Instead, it was a dog and pony show. Man, they passed it back and forth like they rehearsed it 7 times. All the great things that are going on.
So you think that what it looks like is BP is trying to leave town and leave us holding the bag, so to speak?
Absolutely. Absolutely.